Welcome back to the channel TechQuest Learning Point. I am here with a new series of tutorial Create ASP.NET Web Application using C Sharp. Today going to start the first episode of this series tutorial named Introduction to ASP.NET. The agendas of this session will be what is ASP.NET? The concept about ASP.NET and .NET framework has been clarified here. Number 2. ASP.NET version history. ASP.NET's release history tightly correlates with the .NET framework releases, which need to know developers. Number 3. HTTP protocol in terms of ASP.NET. Understanding how HTTP works with ASP.NET helps developers build efficient and responsive web applications. Number 4. Difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework. This distinction is important for developers when choosing which framework to use for their projects. Number 5. Web Applications Development Styles. ASP.NET supports several development styles for building web applications, each catering to different needs and preferences. Number 6. ASP.NET Application Lifecycles. Understanding the ASP.NET application lifecycle is essential for developers to manage application-wide settings, resources and events effectively. Topic: ASP.NET Page Lifecycle. Understanding the ASP.NET Page Lifecycle is essential for effective web application development. Number 8. ASP.NET Environment. Here it will be seen how to create a ASP.NET web application. Apart from that, a small project using C# for backend functionality and SQL Server for database will be developed gradually episode by episode, which empowered and confident to each learner to be an efficient software developer easily. That I believe, right? The script of the tutorial in PDF is given in the description box. Okay? Prerequisite of this series tutorial: before starting this tutorial, you need to have the basic foundation on C#. You may follow the tutorial Programming C# for Beginners, which is enough for making the foundation on C# and is found in the link which is given in the description box. Please subscribe and stay with this channel if you get tutorials. Okay? Let's start. What is ASP.NET? ASP.NET is an open source web framework developed by Microsoft for building dynamic web applications and services. It empowers developers to create web pages, web applications, and web services using .NET languages such as C# and VB.NET. We understand that ASP.NET is nothing but a framework, right? This framework is used to create web pages, web applications, and web services using .NET languages such as C# and VB.NET. ASP.NET is part of the .NET framework, which provides a comprehensive environment for building applications. That means ASP.NET is a subset of .NET framework. Its simple terms, a framework is a collection of classes. ASP.NET is designed to work with the HTTP protocol and uses the HTTP commands and policies to set a browser to server bilateral communication and cooperation. It supports multiple programming models including webforms, MVC, Model View Controller, Web API, Razor Pages, Pleasure, ASP.NET Web Pages, Later, I will discuss each programming models in detail. With the introduction of ASP.NET Core, it has become cross-platform, allowing developers to build applications that run on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. ASP.NET provides a rich set of bilateral and tools for tasks such as data access, authentication, and session management. That means in order to perform the data access, authentication, and session management task in the ASP.NET, a rich set of libraries and tools are available here. ASP.NET includes built-in security features to help protect applications from common threats. Overall, ASP.NET is widely used for developing enterprise-level applications, e-commerce sites, and web APIs due to its robustness and scalability. ASP.NET version history. ASP.NET's release history tightly correlates with the .NET framework releases. Have a look into the table where version history are given detailed. The first version of ASP.NET is 1.0, which is released in January 16, 2002. The main feature was object-oriented web application development supporting inheritance, polymorphism, and other standard OOP features. Developers are no longer forced to use server, create object so early behind and type safely for possible. This version was integrated with the Visual Studio.NET. The next version is 1.1 and released in April 24, 2003. Mobile controls automatic input validation was the feature in this version, and this version is integrated with the Visual Studio.NET 2003. 2.0 is released in November 7, 2005. Feature is new data controls, grid view, form view, details view, new techniques for declarative data access, SQL data source, object data source, XML data source controls, navigation controls, master pages, etc. The next version is 3.0 and it is released November 21, 2006. Main feature: Windows Presentation Foundation WPF, Windows Workflow Foundation WF, Windows Communication Foundation, which can use ASP.NET to host services. 3.5 version is released November 19, 2007. New data controls, list view data pager. ASP.NET Ajax include as part of the framework support for HTTP pipelining and syndication fields. 3.5 Service Pack 1 is the version of 3.5. August 11, 2008 is the release date. Incorporation of ASP.NET Dynamics data, support for controlling browser history in an ASP.NET Ajax application. The next version is 4.0 and it is released April 12, 2010. The two new properties added in this base class are meta keyword and meta description. The version 4.5.1 is released October 17, 2013 and with a new feature Bootstrap 3.0, Web API 2, Auth 2.0, OData improvements, CORS, MVC5, attribute routing, authentication filters and filter overrides, EF6, Entity Framework 6, Signal R. Next, the version is 4.5.2. Feature higher reliability HTTP header inspection and modification methods. The version 4.6 released July 20, 2015. Feature is HTTP/2 support when running on Windows 10. More sync task returning APIs. Version 4.7 is released April 11, 2017. Operating system support for TLS protocols is the main feature. Version 4.7.1 released date October 17, 2017. New features are improved accessibility, value tuple types serialization, SHA2 support, and integrated with the Visual Studio 2017. Version 4.8 is released April 18, 2019, and it is integrated with the Visual Studio 2019. The version 4.8.1, which is latest version, August 9, 2022 is the release date with the new feature JIT and NGEN improvements. Updated ZLIB, reducing FIPS impact on cryptography, accessibility enhancements for webforms, service behavior enhancements for WCF, high DPI enhancements, UI authentication, UI automation, improvements for WPF. HTTP protocol in terms of ASP.NET. HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol is an application layer protocol used for transmitting hypermedia documents such as HTML. It is foundation of data communication on the World Wide Web. HTTP operates as a request-response protocol between clients, usually web browser and servers. In the context of ASP.NET, HTTP is the underlying protocol that facilitates communication between the web server and the client. Here's how it works. Request handling. When a client makes an HTTP request, as per example, accessing web page, the ASP.NET application processes the request through a series of components including HTTP handlers. These are responsible for processing specific types of requests. For example, an .aspx page is handled by the ASP.NET page handler. HTTP modules. These are used for processing requests and responses at a global level, allowing for tasks like authentication, logging, and error handling. Routing. ASP.NET uses routing to map incoming requests to specific handlers for controllers. This is particularly prominent in ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Core applications. Response generation. After processing the request, ASP.NET generates the HTTP response, which includes status code, includes the result of the request, headers, provides metadata about the response, body contains the content to be sent back to the client, such as HTML, JSON, or XML. Session management. Although HTTP is stateless, ASP.NET provides mechanisms to maintain the state across requests, such as session state and cookies. Web APIs. ASP.NET also supports building RESTful services using HTTP, allowing for CRUD operations through standard HTTP methods. HTTP is a crucial protocol for web communication, and ASP.NET leverages it to create dynamic web applications. Understanding how HTTP works within ASP.NET helps developers build efficient and responsive web applications. Difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework. This distinction is important for developers when choosing which framework to use for their projects, especially considering the platform requirements and feature proofing their applications. Definition of .NET Framework. The .NET Framework is a software development framework developed by Microsoft that runs primarily on Windows. It provides a large library and supports various programming languages, allowing developers to create Windows applications, web applications, and services. Whereas in .NET Core, .NET Core, often referred to as .NET 5 and later, is a cross-platform open source framework that is the evolution of .NET Framework. It unifies the .NET ecosystem and allows developers to build applications for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Components of the .NET Framework. It includes the Common Language Runtime (CLR), which manages the execution of .NET programs, and a comprehensive class library. Components of .NET Core. It includes the same CLR but is designed to be modular and lightweight, allowing for better performance and flexibility. Platform for .NET Framework. It is Windows specific and not cross-platform. But for .NET Core, cross-platform, enabling development for various operating systems. Version of .NET Framework. The .NET Framework has multiple versions, as for example 1.0, 2.0, 3.5, 4.0, etc., with each version adding new features and improvements. But for .NET Core, starting from the .NET 5, Microsoft has moved to a unified versioning system with .NET 6 and .NET 7 being the latest version as of now. .NET Framework, Windows only older framework with multiple versions. .NET Core, cross-platform modern framework that unifies the .NET ecosystem. Web application development styles. ASP.NET supports several development styles for building web applications, each catering to different needs and preferences. Here are the primary styles. Webforms, MVC, Model View Controller, Web API, Razor Pages, Blazor, ASP.NET Web Pages. Webforms, a traditional event-driven model that allows developers to build dynamic web applications using a drag and drop interface. That means, in short, it is an event-driven development framework. It is used to develop applications with powerful data access. It provides server-side controls and events to create web applications. It is part of the ASP.NET framework. The main features are server control and events, view state for maintaining state across postbacks, rapid application development, RAD capabilities, use cases suitable for developers familiar with Windows Forms and those looking for a quick way to build applications without deep knowledge of HTML, CSS. MVC, Model View Controller, a design pattern that separates an application into three main components: model, data, view, UI, and controller, business logic. It gives us a MVC model view controller patterns based way to build dynamic websites. It enables a clean separation of concerns and that gives you full control over markup for enjoyable agile development. It also provides many features that enable fast development for creating outstanding applications. Features of MVC are full control over HTML and URL routing, testable and maintainable code structure, support RESTful applications, use cases, ideal for applications requiring complex user interactions and those that benefits from a clear separation of concerns. Web API, a framework for building HTTP services that can be consumed by a variety of clients including browsers and mobile devices. Features: support RESTful web services, can return data in various formats, JSON, XML, lightweight and easy to use. Use cases: best for building services that need to be consumed by different clients such as mobile apps or single page applications SPS. Razor Pages, a page-based programming model that simplifies the development of web applications by using Razor syntax. Features: focuses on single page, making it easier to manage. Combine HTML and C# in a straightforward manner. Support model binding and validation. Use cases: suitable for scenarios where the application is primarily page focused, such as forms and simple CRUD operations. Blazor, a relatively new framework that allows developers to build interactive web applications using C# instead of JavaScript. Features: supports both server-side and client-side WebAssembly hosting models. Component-based architecture, reusable components and strong typing. Use cases: ideal for developers who prefer C# over JavaScript and want to build rich interactive web applications. ASP.NET Web Pages. It is used to create dynamic web pages. It provides fast and lightweight way to combine server code with HTML. It helps to add video linked to social sites. It also provides other features like you can create beautiful sites that conform to the latest web standards. Each development style in ASP.NET has its strength and it is suited for different types of applications. The choice of style depends on the project requirements, team expertise, and desired application architecture. In simply, all these are stable and well-equipped framework. We can create web application with any of them. These are also based on the .NET framework and share core functionalities of .NET and ASP.NET. More clearly and in short, it can be stated that we can use any development style to create application. The selection of style depends on the skills and experience of programmer. Although each framework is independent of other, we can combine and use any of that at any level of our application. For example, to develop client interaction module, we can use MVC, and for data control, we can use webforms. ASP.NET application lifecycles. The ASP.NET application lifecycle refers to the series of stages that an ASP.NET application goes through from the moment it is started until it is terminated. Understanding this life cycle is crucial for managing application level events, resources, and configurations effectively. Here's a breakdown of the key stages. Stage 1, application start. Stage 2, application request processing. Stage 3 session management. Stage 4 application end. Application start. The application starts when the first request is made to the application or when the application is explicitly started, as per example through IIS. During this stage, the application is initialized and application start event in the global .aspx file is triggered. Key actions: initialization of application level resources. Configuration settings are loaded as per example from web.config. Any necessary data structures or caches are set up. Application request processing. Each incoming request is processed through a series of events. The ASP.NET runtime handles the request and routes it to the appropriate handler, as for example, a page, web API, etc. Key events: application beginner request triggered at the start of each request. Application end request triggered at the end of each request. Session management. If session is enabled, ASP.NET manages use session. If session state is enabled, ASP.NET manages user sessions. Each user session is tracked, allowing the application to maintain state across multiple requests. Key events: session start, triggered when a new session is created. Session end, triggered when a session expires or it is abandoned. Application end. The application can end due to various reasons such as an application pool recycling, server shutdown, or explicit termination. During this stage, the application end event in the global.aspx file is triggered. Key actions: cleanup of application level resources, final logging or state saving. Events in application life cycles. Application start, initialize application level resources. Application begin request, start processing a new request. Application end request, complete processing of request. Session start, start a new user session. Session end, end a user session. Application end, clean up before application termination. Understanding the ASP.NET application lifecycle is essential for developers to manage application-wide settings, resources, and events effectively. It allows for better performance, optimization, resource management, and handling of user session in web applications. ASP.NET page lifecycles. The ASP.NET page lifecycle is a series of stages that a web page goes through from the moment a request is made to the server until the page is fully rendered and sent back to the client. Understanding this lifecycle is crucial for developers to manage events and control the behavior of web applications effectively. Here's a breakdown of the key stages. Stage 1, page request. Stage 2, start. Stage 3, initialization. Stage 4, load. Stage 5, post-back event handling. Stage 6, rendering. Stage 7, unload. Page request. The life cycle begins when a page request is made by user. This can be a new request or a post back when a user submits data back to the same page. Start. ASP.NET determines whether the request is a new request or post back. If it's a new request, the page is initialized. If it's a post back, The previous state is restored. Initialization. The init event occurs where controls on the page are initialized. This is where you can set properties that need to be set before the page is displayed. Load. The load event is triggered and the page and its controls are loaded with data. This is where you can access control properties and set values based on user input or other data sources. Postback event handling. If the request is a postback, any events triggered by controls like button clicks are handled at this stage. This is where you can respond to user actions. Rendering. The render phase occurs where the page calls the render methods for each control, generating the HTML markup that will be sent to the client. This is where you can modify the output before it sent. Unload. The unload event is the final stage of the life cycle. It occurs after the page has been fully rendered and sent back to the client. This is where you can clean up resources such as closing database connection. Events in page life cycles. Init initialization control load data into controls. Postback event handling. Handle events triggered by user actions. Render. Generate HTML output. Unload. Clean up resources. Understanding the ASP.NET page lifecycle is essential for effective web application development. It allows developers to manage state, handle events, and optimize performance by knowing when to execute specific code. ASP.NET environment. In this section, we want to be familiar with the various elements in Visual Studio which will be used for creating a ASP.NET web application, and we will see how to create a ASP.NET web application. Let's go to the Visual Studio 2022. In order to run the Visual Studio 2022, just click on the start. You will see the Visual Studio icon. If you installed the Visual Studio previously, then click. This is the start page. Here you will see the recent file, today, this month, and older. Create a new project. If you want to create a new, choose a project template with code scaffolding to get started, or continue without code. We select the continue without code. This is the Visual Studio 2022 environment. Go to file and select the start window. This is the start window which I saw in previously. You can create a new project. Click on the file, new project. You need to select the programming language. Here we select C#. Here is the platform on which you want to create the web application. Here we select the window. Here we select the web application. Web. As I want to create the web application, then we select the web. These are the templates. So many templates. We want to create the ASP.NET web application on which .NET framework. This is the template. The project templates for creating ASP.NET applications. You can create ASP.NET web applications, web forms, MVC or web API application, and add many other features in the ASP.NET. Okay, select next. Here we have to write the project name. Let's say your the project name is My First Web App. Here I use the prefix pro as this is the project file, that's why I use the pro. This is not mandatory, I have to use the prefix. Then location. Then the solution name. Solution name should be started with the prefix SOL. This prefix is not mandatory. Here need to select the framework version, latest 4.8. Then click on the create button. Create a new ASP.NET web application. There are many templates. An empty project template for creating ASP.NET applications. This template does not have any content in it. If we select this template, the project file will be created without any content. All the necessary content we have to create manually. Then we have to select webforms or MVC or web API. As we want to create the web application by using development models webforms, then check the webforms. If we select the webforms template, then webforms will be automatically selected. If we want to web application with the MVC pattern, then we have to select this template. Okay, at this moment we use the empty template with webforms. Create. This is the overview page. Close it. The project file has been created. What is the project? The project file is viewed in the Solution Explorer. In order to view the Solution Explorer, just go to the View menu and select the Solution Explorer. Or you can use the shortcut Ctrl+W and S. Select. The Solution Explorer will be viewed in the right side. In the top right corner of the Solution Explorer window, you will see a small button which is called push pin button. It is used to either show or hide the Solution Explorer window. In the Solution Explorer, you will see the solution name Solve My First Web App. In the bracket, one project. If you use single project, it will be one project. Under this solution, proMyFirstWebApp project is viewed. A solution can contain multiple projects. If you want to add another project, then right click on the solution, select add, select new project. Let's say I want to add the class library. You need to select the class library. The class library. A project for creating a class library that targets .NET or .NET Standard. Next, this is the name Pro class LIB. Location same. Select next. .NET 8 long-term support. Select create. This is the project file pro class lib. All the necessary file, coding file will be contained in this project file. Here this project file proMyFirstWebApp is bolded, which indicating that this project act as the startup project. If you want to change the startup project, then right click and select the startup project. Now this project is a startup project, so we can change the startup project in this way. Now you want to add a webform under this project. Right click, add new item. There are so many items. Just by using the C# programming language, we need webforms. This webform. webform 1. Click Add. If we want to view the solution file where it is stored, then right click on the solution and select Open Folder in File Explorer. Solve My First Web App folder contains the all project file here. This is the solution file. Has extension of .sln. This is the project folder, proMyFirstWebApp. If you open the this is the another project file. In order to view the toolbox, go to View menu and select Toolbox. Toolbox will be appeared in the left side. This is the toolbox. Toolbox contains the all web control. It has also a push pin button. Webform has the extension of .aspx. A webform also has a code behind and designer files. Code behind files has the extension of .aspx.cs if C# is the programming language. Code behind files contain the code that user writes. A webform is associated with its code file using the direct directive found in the webform's HTML. A webform has design mode and source mode. We can also use the split mode where design mode and source mode are viewed simultaneously. Just click on the design view. This is the design view of the webforms, and we can add any control on the form. Drag and drop. Just drag the button and drop it. If we click the split, then the form view source and the form source mode. Now we want to run this application. I want to see what will be the output. Just click on this button. You can also go to the code behind page by right click and select the view code. In the HTML form, look at, we have taken a button and another control label in order to show some text. This button will work in the click event. For that reason we have taken a click event. Button 1 underscore click. Here is button 1 click the event. This is the label with the text properties. We have assigned that this is my first web application. Text box is assigned to the label. If we click this button, this line will be executed and label will show this text. Okay, let's run this program. Click. This is my first web application. Now I want to change the caption of this button. If you want to change the caption of this button by using HTML form, here we can change the caption of this button. For the caption, okay. We can change it another way by using the properties window. In order to open the properties window, just go to view menu and select properties window. Properties window. Select the contour and go to the property text. Okay, if we change it, click here, this is also changed. If you go to the design, click here. We don't want to see this label text. Just double click, you can see it in the property. Just let's run this program. Click here. This is my first web application. Okay, that's it.